Oh, I thought you were introducing us.
Oh, you want me to? Hey, welcome in to In the Know with Steph and Joe. Today, it's all about the benefits of brainstorming in a group. Don't adjust your phones, your laptops, or your tablets. We've got a big group here today. We're trying to get them all in the picture. Because it's
here,
important.
Lean in.
That's it.
Hello, I'm here. I feel like I mentioned this earlier. I feel like this is like nobody will say I'm in to be a guest, and then therefore nobody else joins in to say they're going to be a guest.
Here's what we're doing. Uncle Pete's up there right now. Uncle Pete's got a website. You go ahead and copy that, put it right in your URL area, and you too can be part of this show wherever you're at, in the comfort of your own home, office, and or car. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Come on in. We want to hear some of your benefits on brainstorming in a group.
I know that Derek Bear tuned in from one episode from the bathroom.
Yes, he did. Yeah. I remember that. And I know Eric Vincencio. Anyway, your bearded IT guy. He is.
You should know his name.
I know it's Eric. I know.
It's Eric.
He's been under the weather a little bit, battling COVID. So hey, why don't you go ahead?
He can still
chime
type.
in.
His fingers aren't sick.
Love you. Come on. Hope you're doing better, buddy.
Brainstorming.
No,
Let's talk brainstorming.
I thought you were going to say that about brainstorming in a group is always better because if you do it by yourself, it's just one of those activities you can't do by yourself.
Right. Said the really one bad. Female here. I just want to make sure we're calling that one out. Yep. Brainstorming. So
it's a short storm front when I do it myself.
When I'm by myself, it's very short.
Microburst.
Yeah.
No, mine is like one of those. What do you call those that are blowing over California right now? The tropical river.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I don't know. It's a
like
lot of rain though.
The river. That's what mine is.
Also, just a quick shout out. You're going to see right there betwixt the two of you there, our good friends over at Heady Cup Roasters here in town. They are fueling 21.6 the net signature single origin. That is the Tanzania Peaberry, but they are a local roaster of coffee. They can do small batches, single batches. They can white label. So great for small businesses to white label for their customers. You go and clean up poop in somebody's basement. You could leave them a bag of coffee.
That's probably not what people want after I clean up their stuff. Is some bag of brown stuff left behind.
I talked to the people.
That's good brainstorming, though.
It is good brainstorming. Nice. Oh, they're cool people.
Nice
they're really good.
That's awesome. I love that. No, that's good brainstorming. It's good to brainstorm some, marketing, things once in a while. But I don't know that I'd brainstorm putting our name on a bag with brown stuff.
Just have all the guys show up drinking coffee. What do you got there? Heady Cup. This is Restoration One brand Heady Cup.
All right. So brainstorming. So we talked a little bit in the green room, but then we were afraid we didn't want to sit there and have a show where we keep referencing the green room every 5 seconds, every time we're like, hey, remember in the green room? Oh, but remember in the green room? And like how we've done before. So we kind of just stopped talking.
In the green room. In the green room, we literally go brainstorming. You want to do that? Yeah. Stop. All right. We're not going to say anything. So that's where we brainstorm, is in the green room. And when we come out onto the show, oftentimes we have actually said like, oh, you remember this story in the green room? And we all laugh about it. And then we might tell a little bit of it, but it wasn't nearly as funny or hit the right point as it did in the green room. Right. So why does the green room have such a great influence on what we do? Why do you think, right? Like, why is it important for us to go through the green room process?
Well, I mean, I guess we're on the same page on the topic, because I think we've had that happen once or twice before where we
you're like, oh,
yeah. I think one way because my brain's whatever, and you think another way. Then we start talking, and then we're like fighting each other and struggling back and forth to try and
we're going
on
this
like the
way
same
with the
road.
Show. Yeah, so
exactly. We have to get on the same page with that, or obviously our upcoming shows and things like that. And
which we did today.
I can't see. What does that say? Hi guys, happy
Yeah.
Friday.
Just
Hi,
guys,
happy Friday.
Yeah. Oh, Drew Casaccio. Be great. Go ahead and put the Earl right in there and come in and tell us some
Oh
of
yeah,
your
Drew would have been a
brainstorming.
good one to have on the show about brainstorming.
Yeah.
Drew, your name should be start with a P, have a middle initial of A, so that way you're Pistachio.
Dad jokes. Dad jokes.
You know what makes a dad joke a dad joke? It's apparent.
I was on it that time, brother.
Sorry.
But
Okay.
So the things that we kind of touched on though in the green room about today's topic was that you have kind of your business brainstorming, you have personal brainstorming, and then who and how do you pick the people that you brainstorm with? Is it always like-minded people, or do you like brainstorming with people that kind of are on an opposing side of the fence, so you really get not such a room of yes men and you can really dive deep into a topic? Like,
Let's not be sexist. They could be yes women.
So, because I know that when I was talking to Scott, who does the grounds with you,
Yeah,
and we were talking in the green room after your show one time, and how you purposely on that show will always try and play devil's advocate and be on the other side of the fence, whether you agree with Scott or not. You really dive into
today
that
was
role.
a good one, actually. I irritated a lot of people. It was fun.
So I feel like
I like to do that too occasionally. It's just go ahead.
I find it more productive if you have not everybody kumbayaing. Oh, that's a great idea, Steph. Yeah, great. Oh, Joe. Yeah. Oh, right. So I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Let's think this through, right? I prefer to be that guy in the room, right? I'll call
challenge.
Bullshit. Yeah, I'll call bullshit when bullshit needs to be called, right? But if everybody's just holding hands and
singing kumbaya,
yeah, then no.
Okay,
you don't get anywhere.
Are you okay with being challenged?
Oh, yeah. Most of my life, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Are you okay with it?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I am. Yeah, I am. And when I'm getting challenged, if I feel that I'm getting upset or whatever, I've got to take a quick step back and go, okay, deep breath here. Let's take a look at it from their point of view. But yeah, I want, that's why I'm brainstorming. I want to be pushed. I want to get a different idea, get a different view of it. So
I enjoy being challenged. I don't like being teamed up on.
Oh.
Right? Like, to me, there's a difference when you're brainstorming about, then there's certain things, but like sometimes, you don't want to feel like you're being like attacked, but you want to feel challenged, right? There's a difference to me.
Right.
And that to me is where, like it depends on the people you bring around you to brainstorm with, right? Like, how do you pick those people?
Well, it's just like when we used to do coffee with Pete, like he had his whole shtick in the first part of the meeting, and it would always be, you have to, respect the integrity of the conversation. Like, you're going in there as an adult and you want everybody to respect your opinion and view on something.
Yes.
And that's the same way that you need to also reciprocate to all those other people that have an opinion. Because I watched people at the coffee with Pete go, like, it looked pretty heated. But then at the end, when the whole coffee was over, like after an hour and a half or so, they both stood up, shook hands from across the table, and then everybody left and went on with their business day.
But what you didn't see is in the green room, they put a hole in the green screen because they were tackling each other. Yeah. No, well, and that's really the thing, is like, who do you surround yourself with?
It depends on the topic that I want resolved.
Ooh.
So like, if I want
something, elaborate.
I mean, I guess if I want something like mom related resolved, I'll go to other parents. Like, I really won't turn to my friends that don't have kids, because not say that their opinion doesn't matter, but I don't know how you're going to help me work through this if either one, you haven't already done this with your kid that's a little bit older than my kid, or it's an up and coming phase, or you're in the thick of it, or whatever. Like, you're just theorizing, like you don't know what it is. So like if I have a problem, like I know that I've come to Kent before when I was having a situation with one of my kids, and he kind of, I didn't know at the time, but he had been through it with one of his kids, and it made me feel better, so we kind of talked about it in ways that he did things that worked in his situation, and then I kind of was able to take it and tweak it to make it fit for my kid.
So you purposefully seek out other people that you think would have a valid opinion, if not necessarily almost. Okay. Do you seek out somebody that has the same opinion as you for their opinion?
No, because then I wouldn't have married Rich.
You would have.
We're very
fair.
We're very
Rich.
Opposite.
Richard.
Very fair. Very fair. Very, very fair point.
So yeah.
Great point. Great point.
So I brainstorm with people I know, like, and trust, right? If I'm in the boardroom and there's people from the bank in the boardroom that I don't personally know, you always run into that one person who has zero results but has all the answers. And you just want to reach across and drop kick them right in the throat. Like, shut up. You have done nothing. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
I call that just bitch to bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's always that one person in the room who just loves hearing their own voice. And doesn't matter what the topic is, they're going to input.
Well, that's usually me, but I feel like I have something actually comprehensible to say.
Like I like brainstorming with people that can challenge me to a point, but also provide some level of solution or plan.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want you to spew out a bunch of stuff or just agree with me. Because if you're just agreeing with me, then I'm not going to work out my problem.
Or just provide sympathy.
Depends.
Sometimes. I was going to say, like, some sympathy versus solution. You said, I want somebody that provides a solution.
Like an end result. Like, if you're going to challenge me.
That's a solution. Yeah, right. Besides 100% sympathy.
But like, if you're going to say to me, like, if I'm like, oh, I'm having trouble with this marketing campaign and I don't know.
You poor little girl.
Like, I don't know how to do this.
I'm so sorry.
But like, I'm just saying, like, these are the things that I've done with my marketing and blah, 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 blah. And then for you just to be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh yeah. Okay. And blah, 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 blah. Well, that doesn't help me because I'm not getting the results that I was anticipating with this marketing plan.
That would be sympathy.
Like,
yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, like,
in my mind,
like, I feel like you're just agreeing with me, like, that you think my plan is good, but there's something that's a flaw with my plan if I'm not getting a return on my investment.
Right.
Please point it out. Right.
Like, I need somebody to say, like, okay, I've done this, this, and this, and I tweaked it. Just like when you and I had that whole conversation on pay-per-click. Like, you're not somebody that personally likes the pay-per-click, but it's actually been measurably successful for me in my industry.
Correct.
Or for my business in particular. So, like, even though you gave me your advice and your opinion and we talked about it and different strategies and things that you're doing in your business versus what I'm doing in my business, I still went ahead and gave it a shot anyways, and it seemed to be fine. But at the end of the day, you and I are in different industries.
And not only
the challenges that you pointed out that you were having, I not necessarily having specifically in my industry.
But not only that, but it's more so where you look at it and you go, okay, that is a worthwhile opinion. I hope you think that of me. But and therefore I'm going to look at that and go, this is what I think, this is how, but take that with a grain of salt in the sense that, yeah, we lead different industries. So I'm going to look at this and go, approach it cautiously, but still approach it because it's something that has produced for you and you really like it. Or
I mean, so far
appreciate the ROI.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just, so there's been things that have come about, and, like, the one thing that I missed, like, I kind of took a major step back in the last, well, I guess since COVID, in the networking. Like, I just couldn't do any more of those Zoom calls, and I was just over it. And then I just bowed out of, like, a bunch of networking groups and things.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I've always missed is those moments at the end of the group or whatever, where we all kind of sat around and just chit chatted.
BS'd.
Or if somebody asked a question that was good enough or I shouldn't say good enough, that doesn't sound nice, but like if somebody asks a question
worthwhile for conversation,
right, like that, it would derail the whole meeting, and every business owner would contribute into that.
Because that was a
Hi, Mom.
conversation that was very that was a conversation that literally was something of value to everybody in the group.
Right.
Basically, yeah. Hi, Mom.
Well, I just kind of feel like it was like the same thing that you had pointed out early into the first couple minutes of the show, is that some people are afraid to start those tough conversations in a group of people, even if they know, like, and trust them, because they view, which kind of plays off the show last week about success, like they view them as successful and they don't want to seem inadequate or uneducated in business.
I approach a lot of these groups and brainstorming opportunities with what I learned from In the Know with Steph and Joe. Are you wanting my input, or am I just here to listen? Right? Because you are. We surround ourselves, when I say we, the three of us in studio right here, surround ourselves with a lot of very, what I would call successful and good business minds.
We have had some great people on the show, whether people know it or not.
And everybody always wants, here's my 2 cents. And I've learned from this show, are you looking for me to give you input or just to listen? And sometimes you could be the fourth person at the table in this group, and all they really want to do is have you listen. Right.
We've had some guests that way.
Right.
Yeah, we have.
So
they just want you to, they came on and you, and we can't get a word in edgewise.
and so with that said, sometimes the best piece of brainstorming is just listening.
100%.
Right.
Now, is that something that you would say you have to, would you always be able to, do you think brainstorming is something you should always be able to ask questions about? Right? Like during the process. Can I interrupt you at any time when we're brainstorming and ask a question? If I can't, is it then not brainstorming and becomes more of a lecture?
Right. I would agree.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's
that
a fair
was easy.
point. I mean, I didn't think about it. At first, my initial reaction was to say no, that you should let them finish. But then I'm like, depends on how long they talk. Because if they talk a long time.
That's what I'm saying is like, if I have to listen to somebody sorry, was I screaming into the mic?
No.
Oh, okay. That happens often.
Or a CEO is going to control the brainstorm.
Fair point, right? Meeting started and CEO says, what do you guys think about this? Great. Now tell me more about how we're going to do it with this, right? Or how, right? It's very lead-in questions, right? That to me is not then brainstorming. So if somebody is walking up and we can't, and I don't believe, I'm a big hater on interrupting, right? Like, I don't think interrupting. I don't think interrupting is the way to go about, right? Like brainstorming. It's not about interrupting, but it's more so about like the speaker giving their thoughts, and then being able to understand that it's not a lecture. I got to shut up.
No, I don't like being in an environment where I think I'm going to a brainstorming session with management, like when I was an employee, and it's really not. They're not really necessarily asking my opinion. They're telling me the new policy or procedure, which is fine, but don't present it like it's going to be like a powwow between us. And then when I'm asking questions or wanting to tweak it, then you're mad and annoyed. Because you're really not, like you need to, if whatever it is, you need to present it properly.
If it's brainstorming, it's brainstorming, right? So like that to me is my big sticking point, is when somebody says brainstorming, but they're there to talk and not listen to or be, ask questions or given ideas.
Is a round table the same thing as brainstorming?
I think so.
Depends on the topic.
I mean, I think so, because I feel like somebody presents a problem or question, or even if they talk about a win or something, then everybody's talking about things like either accomplishments or struggle or what they had the same struggle in their business or life, and then they did this and this to fix the situation.
I mean, I've been at what's been, let's say you just like what you said, you show up to a, management brainstorming powwow and they they tell you everything. I've been to a quote unquote round table and, it was with the mayor and everybody sat at round tables, but we just sat and listened to them talk for 45 minutes, right? Like that wasn't a brainstorm, like a round table to me. Yeah. If you say round table, I'm thinking I'm coming there, I'm going to set at a table. I don't care if it's round or square or rectangle or whatever it is, a U shape, but we're going to exchange ideas.
Right.
Right. This round table was us listening to somebody talk. And that to me is not a round table.
Yeah. See, I think there's a big difference. You can discuss the same topics, but I think brainstorming is impromptu. It's like, hey, we just started kicking ideas back and forth and spitting ideas, right? A round table's like, hey, at 3:00 we'll meet in, and
so you think point. It always has like if you say round table, it always has a specific topic,
agenda,
you think?
Yeah,
that's a great point. Thing. So, okay, my question to you guys is, how often do you think you brainstorm in a day? Personally, professionally, anything, just general brainstorming in a day.
It depends the day, right? So here on a Friday,
depends on how many poops I take.
That's right. Here on a Friday, because I'm around all the content creators, it's all day, and we're, hey, what's next? And how we do this? How can we elevate this? Right. So
you're constantly flowing ideas through.
Always on Friday. Right.
Yeah.
So by 4:00 on Friday, I'm exhausted.
Your brain's fried.
We start at 7:30, right? And we go. But it's energizing at the same time. But by 6:00, I feel like, oatmeal, because I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. It's like you go home and Alice asks you what's for dinner and you're like, I don't know. I can't make any more decisions today.
I write a lot of notes on backs of things.
Look at how many more pads of paper I got to get you.
Right. Right.
You're running out of pads of paper.
But to me, so it's all day. But on a Monday, when
you're just processing.
Yeah. You're like, all right, well, I've got a routine then, and then I'm popping through. Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
I guess it kind of all depends. I mean, like right before Rich and I were going to change some policies and procedures in the office, like we had a couple meetings as owners and went through some stuff and came up with some things. And then we presented it to Valerie and Melanie at the time. And we asked for feedback on it, and then we kind of tweaked it, and then we've gone, so I don't know. It really, it depends on the day or the time of the quarter, I guess, when we would be doing, how much we'd be doing.
That's great points. Okay, so I'm kind of a hybrid in the sense that we can have a thing that we schedule. Like you said, I can't, going and brainstorming, it seems to be an agenda, right? But in my mind, that's actually okay, because before the event, I'm thinking about it throughout like the day or two before, right? Like while I'm driving, I'm going, oh, I got this meeting. Oh, it's about this. Okay, let's just think about that for a minute. Oh, yep. And I take out my pad of paper and I scribble a note, right? So that way I have thoughts, ideas that I've been thinking about as I'm brainstorming while I'm driving or while I'm just thinking about it. But so when I actually do show up, I feel like I got some ideas that they may be written down in part of the agenda, but I've actually brainstormed them, if you will. Right. But at the same time, Carrie and I will sit down, like, we're just walking along and all of a sudden, oh, we got to talk about this. Oh yeah. What about this? What about that? Right. Like those are great too. Like, I feel like that's when we have some of the best conversations.
Green room.
Yeah.
That's the green room. Yeah. Yeah. It literally.
So at what point does a brainstorm then turn into a debate?
Good question. Okay.
As soon as my wife walks into the room. Hey, how are you? No. Kidding. I love you, honey. Thanks for this.
I would say as soon as there are established differences between the two brainstorming parties or multiple brainstorming parties, whatever you want to call it, and there is a thought that one is superior. I'm gonna keep it very 30,000 foot view.
I would think personally that it would be when there's a gridlock, when it's no longer
that's kind of what
banter back and forth.
I'm with you on that one. That's
and
what I was
then
gonna say.
all of a sudden it just stops being about the topic and it's more about, now I got to prove you wrong in your opinion.
Who's got the lowest
versus-
swing in Richard?
Right.
Yeah.
So like, I just feel like it stops being fun, because I feel like brainstorming is fun. Debating is not fun.
No, I agree.
Hang on now. I love to debate though.
But it sometimes just gets low and personal.
Well, that's not a debate.
Here's what I would say. I would say when it takes away, because we're talking about in a group, right? It becomes a debate when everybody else in the group is left out except the two that are debating.
Right.
Right. Because now it's unproductive.
Right.
I think a debate. I think
a
debate is when it goes beyond the topic at hand and it goes outside of the topic, and you're no longer.
Well, we could debate this the rest of the show.
We could. Are you sure you want to?
That is, like I
Somebody
think
had
we
to.
really could. We really could debate the debate. Well, so that kind of boils back to what we were talking about with who do you brainstorm with?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you are finding that the people you're brainstorming with, you're debating with, or you're getting into a gridlock every single time and you can't, between the 2 or 3 or 4 or however many there are, you guys cannot come up to a conclusion or at least a thought process, a theory. Are you picking the right people to debate with? Because some people could argue with you until they're blue in the face, and they will continue to argue no matter what the topic, just because they want to argue.
So what's your go-to phrase to get out of the brain? Like if you feel
With
like
Carrie, it's whatever.
That was very quick and
Boom.
specific.
Right.
All right then.
I got to pick myself up. I got hit hard. It came hard. Wham.
Well,
Right.
when Carrie and I get into an argument and one person knows that the other person won, right? Then the other person. So if I know that Carrie won, I will look at her and go, whatever.
So that's you bending the knee.
And that is me saying you won. And it's whatever in that sense. And that's it. She'll say the same thing too. So that's her and I's, whatever you call it, safe word. But in the sense of like waving the white flag is waving the white flag is whatever.
It's getting crazier and crazier by the second. Whatever.
Whatever. Got a gag.
That to me is, do you have one?
Safe word?
Pineapple juice.
My mom is listening.
SpongeBob.
We talked about tentacle porn on this show before.
My mom didn't listen to that whole episode.
Mom, tune in to that one. That one. Go look at that one again.
Out on Spotify, you can find it.
Like
safe word, not a safe word. Like a word that you say that you like.
If I'm specifically talking with Rich, then I just say that we're done. Like if I just don't want to have the conversation anymore, I just say we're done.
Does that mean you
But that's
concede?
like, no, that's just we're done. Like we're gonna agree to disagree. Like
how do you
never gonna see eye
concede
to
to
eye.
Rich? I've never conceded to Rich.
Well, I mean, like
is what you wanted to say.
No, I mean, like we both will just like we're both very strong.
I know
personalities in our
You don't
opinions.
say.
And
You don't say.
Once we dig our heels, it's just a situation of, like I understand where you're coming from, but I strongly disagree, and you're not going to get me to change my perspective.
Almost like, so you guys are almost taking the agree to disagree stance.
That's
when
usually
you
like
walk away from.
Right, but like in a professional setting, I'll probably, depending on the situation and how heated I am in the conversation, if I just want to be an asshole, I'll just say, I'm sorry you feel that way. and then I smile.
I'm glad I've never heard that from you.
You know, like
I'm going back through.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I just did is go through my Rolodex of Steph encounters and go, ding, nope,
like,
never had that one.
if I'm mad and heated, that's usually what I'll say.
I'm sorry you
and-
feel that way.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Like
All right.
I don't
I'm gonna try and get one of those out of
like
you.
when there's
I'm
like
sorry you feel that way.
like when there's nothing left to say on a topic. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, basically, I'll just go. Listen, we can keep going round and round, but we're getting nowhere. So we're just going to go ahead and just finish this conversation right here, and we're going to move on to whatever else we were doing. Right? I don't think there's a winner or a loser. I'm just, at that point, somebody's got to be big enough to just go.
We're walking away.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep going
I
round.
mean, like I'll call it like a circle jerk is what I'll call it. Like I'm done with the circle jerk and I'll just be done.
So how often do you guys get into that conversation? Like, would you ever? Are you old enough and careered enough in your, or I guess seasoned enough in your interactions with human beings to know when you're getting close or approaching that type of a conversation that you know when to back out before you get there?
No, because if you say the right sequence of words to me, I will say the most
See,
horrific
that
stuff
was
to
as
you.
fast as me saying
That
that Carrie and I
was. Wow.
If it's a topic that if I'm digging my heels on a topic and I know that I have enough in my Rolodex that you will never prove me wrong in this topic,
Okay.
I will stand my ground and I will go.
No matter what.
Getting bloody.
You won't
Yeah.
try to
We're
get
going.
out of the conversation so you don't have to be in that awkward conversation.
No, because I will tell you how much.
You
just
argue
made me-
more so that
I'll
way
just
you
tell
can
you
keep
that-
in the
Yeah,
conversation?
so I could point out every single thing that you're
Stands
wrong
there like a
about.
rock'em sock'em robot.
Wow.
Yes.
Pow,
Yes,
pow,
if I get heated enough in a conversation and I have enough cards in my hand, yeah.
Let's go.
Interesting.
Gloves
Okay.
gloves come off. We're getting bloody. Let's
Okay.
get after it.
Like especially like when I worked in construction and there was just so
Mm.
many situations where it was just a dick measuring competition. Like,
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
then, because I feel like, but I
But,
feel like
like,
that's kind of
I'm talking
Yeah,
like
different.
you're not in construction on a job site. I'm talking like you're standing in a party at a friend's house
Yeah, same thing.
and somebody you start talking, I don't know, like about
topics you shouldn't, like politics. And
politics and religion. Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, that could be it. It's like you may be in a conversation, all of a sudden it takes that left turn or right turn, whatever turn it may take.
Okay, so for
And
those
you all of a sudden know that you are in this.
those ones, I'll say my mom said no, and I'll just walk away.
Huh?
My mom said no. My mom said it's not something I could talk about. My mom said no. When I just leave.
Really?
Yep.
That works?
I don't know if it works, but I leave.
That's what happens.
Nobody says anything. It's a showstopper. You stop talking.
My
Yeah.
mom said no, and I walk away.
Yep.
So this may surprise a lot of our listeners and you too, as a matter of fact. But I'm the guy who walks by to start those conversations. I just drop it,
Yeah. Oh, I know that.
and then I'll go fill up my cup. or
Do you know how
something.
many conversations you started with Pete and I, and he just winds up rolling his eyes by the time I was you walked away and he's already rolling his eyes at me?
Well, I mean, so is there any people, I guess, on the flip side of this, is there any people you get nervous about when your significant other or children come home and say, oh, I was talking to so-and-so group of friends.
Don't mention them on
And
air.
then they don't so they're like, oh, I was talking to such and such group of friends. And then before they even go to the next thing about what they were talking about, do you instantly get riddled with anxiety?
Oh,
Because you
fuck.
know what's going to happen. Like if they were
They were
in a
part of a
group.
brainstorming.
Yeah.
To be honest, the only group of people that I'm nervous my kids would talk to is my own family. My own family is probably worse than
Grandpa said.
most people out here. So I just spent all weekend with them, and like
Grandpa
not
said
in
you,
a bad like
Grandpa
just,
said you
like,
were never a
perverted
little
way,
girl.
but like no, they definitely will say whatever is on their mind. So I have, and they can be offensive. So like I have no problem with anything. Somebody comes home. To be honest, I really just care about my kids hanging out with kids that don't have bad thoughts or like don't brainstorm boneheaded things to do.
How do you get out of, and this is just a good question, and it's a benefit for brainstorming and or round tables. How do you get out of, you were invited to it and it's your CEO, let's say. So you do it with your employees,
Right.
and you're like, hey, you know what? We're going to get a round table going about blah, blah, blah. And as an employee, I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't even want to be in here this shit again. God, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to be a help to that round table, but you expect me to be there because I'm your employee. How does an employee go, listen, I
have a meeting with
got
a client.
I got a thing.
I have a
right?
meeting with a client.
Yeah, that's the way to get out of it.
Clients always trump because clients bring you in money. So if you have a profitable thing to do during that meeting,
yeah,
and you're meeting with a client,
that's great, Joe. Tell you what, then we'll push it back so you're there.
Great, sounds good. All right, push it back 1 hour. I'll try and be there. And then you start it, and then guess what? Oh, damn, bro, my meeting ran late.
I feel like
Client wanted to chat
we'll go
after
on Tuesday.
we were brainstorming about things.
You understand what I'm saying?
I feel like if it's like a big enough group of people, you can kind of hide in the mix until there's an opportunity to maybe say one good sentence, because I feel like something's going to come to you at a point throughout. Somebody's going to say something, it's going to resonate with you, and then you'll throw your one good comment out.
Nugget.
And then you could go back to laying low. But I feel like if it's like a small group of people,
you're fucked.
The spotlight is on the person that's not talking. So I feel like it's difficult. But you have always that go-to phrase of, I'm just absorbing all the information that you guys are providing. This is great information. I can't wait to execute this with my team or try this on the employees, and I'll give you some great feedback on your,
wow,
your information.
I'm going to create a new word. That was politicially correct.
that was good, right?
Yes,
yeah, that was politicially correct.
My mom will tell you I am the queen of bullshit.
That was really good.
I was politicially.
I'm going to go back and write that down when I listen to it.
But it sounds like you care
too.
enough about the topic. You're not saying that you're not able
paying attention or whatever.
Well, it's not even an attention thing, but it's not that you're not able to contribute. Because I feel like once you say you're not able to contribute, then it puts like a target on your back.
Yes, it does.
And then they start looking at you. So if you could figure out a phrase or something to say where you're sound really interested and engaged, you're excited about the topic, and you say, this is my plan to take this information now and execute it, and I will provide you feedback, then
but then you actually have to do so.
Right. Bless you.
Bless you.
But it provides you.
Bless you.
It provides you time. And I feel like if you're in a good group and you're in a good brainstorm, you should be able to take at least one nugget out of it. That would be really weird. Like, have you ever been in a brainstorm where you didn't take a nugget out of there, whether it's good or bad?
Or a nugget?
Like a little
nug?
Yeah.
Something.
I always get a nug. I always get a nug out of most of my events.
I'm the guy who Kent, what do you think? And I'll say something inappropriate or stupid to make it
like I just did. Like I just did.
But
like
just, there has to be something, whether it's good or bad, that you're gonna take out of the conversation. Like you don't walk away with the same numbness.
No, correct. I walk into every situation open-minded to say what
Josh says. Joe, the nut grabber.
Oh, he is paying attention out there. Good to hear you, Josh. I walk into every situation, every event that I go to, like all the things that I'm doing. If I go to something where I'm learning, something where I'm talking to a peer group, whatever it may be, you always have to walk in a convention, even, right? Walk in with the mindset that I'm going to stay open-minded. I know what I do well. I know what we do well. We know what we're doing right. We know, but we also know where our flaws are. So we're going to pay attention to those certain areas where people are talking, ask questions, and you will always come away with a nugget of knowledge from whatever you're going, right? If you're not brainstorming and doing that, you're an idiot. Bottom line.
Well, so like at what point do you think you transition from being kind of like the new kid on the block and the green person in the brainstorming collaboration to being the experienced person to being this like the seasoned person then? Like at what point do you kind of start taking that transition, and then do you yourself prefer talking to people that have been in the game longer, or do you prefer to talk to people that are just getting started?
I prefer both. Thus why we are here doing this and why I agreed to do this is because I want to hear from the people that are experienced and beyond my years and the people that are green, because even the people that are green, they will do things differently than I did, and therefore will come up with a different solution, and something out of that solution is going to be a nugget that I can learn from. But the people that are well experienced, you're always going to learn from them because they are well experienced. They're been in it longer, right? Like you will.
When you say you learn from them, like you mean like you kind of always feel like it's a good motivating thing, or do you feel like you've taken some things and you're like, God, that's amazing. You've been alive this long. Like, what the way you operate? Like I feel like just because
I'm so inspired by how old you are, I'm gonna live that long.
It's not even like an age thing. It's just like
Right.
a common sense
How
or like
have you gotten
Darwinism
through life?
thing.
Like,
Right.
how have you gotten through my industry for 40 years?
Just in life. How have you like
Get up every morning.
right? Like it's just like some things. It's just
That's
like
hilarious.
amazing. Some of the things.
I would say both. My main thing is if I'm going to see somebody that's more experienced than me, no matter if it's in my industry or not, it is that I'm listening to what they have to say and I'm thinking about what they say and how to apply it to my life. It does not have to be, directly related. It could be somebody telling me about how they get up and make their bed every morning. And I'm going to take that and go, well, God, they're prepping themselves for when they get ready for bed at night. And therefore that's one less step they have to do at night when they go and get into bed.
Do you make your bed when you go to bed?
No, I make my bed when I get up in the morning. When do you make your bed? When you go to bed, you make your bed?
No, I don't make my bed.
You
I
don't
have my
make your bed.
blankets and my pillows in a specific thing. Like if I change my sheets, I make my bed. But otherwise, after that, that's it until I change my sheets again.
So they're just all bundled up on the
Yes, I like them in a very specific
bundle.
spot. Yes.
Bundle.
Yep.
See, I like mine, so it's like nice and smooth across the bed.
The last one out of the bed makes it. And I usually am up an hour or so.
Carrie and I, hang on, Carrie.
That's just our deal.
Really?
Yeah. That's our deal.
Carrie and I have separate blankets.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's
Yeah.
lighter than hers.
I have separate blankets too.
Oh, there's no way I could do with her giant blanket.
No, we share the same blanket.
Yeah.
But if she's gone, like if she goes to her friend's house or her mom's house or whatever, girls' weekend or something like that, and I'm home, I get up and I don't even take the pillows. I just put the pillows on her side of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. So it's just I'm just like making my side of the bed, but I make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I make my side. I make my side of the bed. So there's certain things that that's like a nugget that I got that like somebody was brainstorming and said, it's actually like similar along the lines of like the Steve Jobs thing where he dresses in the turtleneck, right? And everybody's like, well, why does he do that? Well, he says, because I don't have to decide what to wear in the morning. It's one less thing to do in the morning, right? So he wears the exact same thing. I've been doing that before I knew that was a thing. And now that I'm like, oh, well, freaking love that because I could still do that. And I'm pretty cool now. Right. But like, that's a nugget that I got that I'm like, hey, it actually is something from brainstorming and talking about how to, make your bed and get up in the morning and change the way you live. So those are just stupid nuggets that I get by listening to people. I don't always agree. I don't always agree. Yeah, some people like you're like, I love to stay up and get up in the middle of the night, or you don't love to, but you do. And
laundry every 2 hours.
I mean, emails at 2 a.m. I'm not sending emails at 2. I may be up at the 2 a.m, but I'm not sending emails at 2 a.m.
It's not like a text message or a phone call.
Has nothing to do with brainstorming.
It sometimes
Where
does.
are we going?
It's us.
What's the outcome? I mean, what are you looking for brainstorming? Brainstorming in a group.
Hang on. That was my last one. Why brainstorm?
Yeah.
Well, I put YBS, but why?
Well, we know what it is. Right. So,
Brainstorm.
So, and that's why I think there's a difference between a round table and a brainstorm. I think a round table, there's actionable items afterwards, right? It's this, and you go around, okay, and then all right, we're gonna follow up with this. I think brainstorming is just spitting and you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, it was a cool idea or
We
whatever.
generate ideas.
Yeah.
You're not actually putting action to ideas.
Right. I mean, you could afterwards, but it's not. I'm not holding you accountable for. It's really you've given me something to go. Huh. You know what I'm saying?
Something to
That's
chew
a good
on.
point.
Yeah.
Something to chew on.
Right.
I like that because sometimes I don't want to respond, hey, here's this idea. What do you think?
Right.
I want to think about it.
Right.
You just asked me and I don't have 30 seconds to even give it a thought.
Yep.
Right. Like I don't want to tell you what I think.
My mom said no.
Whatever.
But I don't know. I think that
my mom said no.
the thing.
I'm using that one from now on.
Alice is gonna be mad at me. My mom said no.
My mom said
She's
no.
gonna be like, horse shit, I just got off the phone with her. She's on my side on this. Oh,
your mom actually said yes to this.
I don't know. I think brainstorming for me is super valuable in the aspect that it gets rid of my brain block.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if there's like something that I've just been noodling around in my head for days and I can't, it just helps to talk it out loud. Like even if I don't necessarily need you to say something, I just need to say it to somebody and like watch your facial expressions and then know whether I'm on the right path or the wrong path, because based upon the way you react by what I have to say is gonna determine if I know when I need to pivot.
So this is not a sexual question, but can you do it by yourself?
What? In the brainstorming?
Yes.
I mean,
well, you just said that you.
I
and
can
this
have
is
a full-on
this is in direct response to,
by myself.
But this is
But
in
then
direct
sometimes
response.
I need like someone looking back at me though.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is you said I can noodle things around in my brain,
Right?
but I want somebody to like a backboard to bounce it off of, right? So in my mind, I like to brainstorm certain things by myself. I can, like if I'm just trying to come up with a bunch of ideas,
Mm-hmm.
I
when
almost
you're soldering stuff.
Yes.
You don't need like input really.
Nope. If I just want to like do some things or come up with some ideas on how we're going to get something done, I literally just want to think about them and then I can bounce them off of people later. But to me, that brainstorming starts when you're by yourself or when I'm driving down the road and I'm just thinking about things, right? And then, or like literally I'm driving down the road, not thinking about everything, listening to a song, and all of a sudden something pops into my brain. That's brainstorming to me because I'm not really thinking about anything. I'm not trying to come up with an idea, but it just comes to me while I'm driving. Got a pad of paper, hit the stoplight, write it down, right? Like I just brainstorm something. I could do it by myself. So do you have to have multiple people or can you do it by yourself?
I mean, I guess you could do it by yourself depending on like
what's your favorite
pops in your head.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm brainstorming, right, I'm in a happy place, right? So I'm working out in the garage or I'm in the gym with basketball or something like that. And I do talk to myself a lot, right? But if I'm kicking every idea I have is brilliant to myself, right? To the outside, to the outside world, not so much, right? So
yes.
And if once I kind of kick some things around, I'll go ask my 13-year-old daughter or my wife or the neighbor or one of you guys and just be like, what do you think of this?
Right.
Right. And then that starts more brainstorming, and you have to watch the reaction. Yeah, it's a good idea. You're like,
that gives you two pieces of information. Right. First, not a good idea. Second, don't go to that guy again or gal because they went, good idea, right? Like body language said no, but they said yes, which means
they're not being open.
They're not being honest, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I guess if I'm gonna bring a good like something that I really want to like hash out and talk out, it's gonna be with somebody that I trust to give me an honest feedback and opinion.
Yeah.
Like you could just have like random conversations and things with people, and sometimes it goes really well, but I can't, like, there's just certain people in my life I know that if I have like a big struggle, even though I love them and they're a great asset to my life, I can't
human being.
I can't brainstorm with them because they won't be honest with me in the moment. And I don't know if it's because they're afraid or because they just
most
won't.
people are afraid of you still. Let's be honest.
Yes, I agree. This is why This is also why I'm on the show.
Yeah,
because I got backed down into a parking lot myself.
That's right.
Interesting. So you specifically pick who you have, and once you get your conglomerate together and you start brainstorming, do you find that when you change people, or if you have to like go and reach out to somebody on a whim, you have to really pay attention and take everything with a grain of salt? Like
I will specifically go to people that will challenge me. Like, so for example, I have a group chat with April and Dawn. I posted a picture of something in the group chat, and then I went on this rant of just talking shit.
Yes.
About how we're going to resolve this issue. And then April responded with something else.
This sounds like a plot afoot.
Yeah. So she responded with something else that was so crazy. It was like she went down the one-up aisle from my crazy. Okay. Then it made me take a step back and go, I was like, dang.
Maybe I'm a bit off my rocker.
And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, feed my crazy. And then we just went off into another topic because I realized that my plan was not the best.
As sinister.
I want to know what the plot was.
Off air.
Green room.
That's a green room brainstorm.
This is brainstorming in the green room.
That I could post at any given time in there, and if I'm being crazy, they will call me on my crazy.
Ooh. Do you so
and
you have friends that do that?
Kent,
do you have specific friends that if you know you're borderline crazy, you can contact besides your spouse?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The fellows,
the guys from your trip.
The guys camping trip. Yeah, they'll call BS on me. Like, what are you thinking?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, we got a buddy who's in prison. Like, what the fuck you thinking? Right?
Well, just like I came.
Thanks for the wake up call. Yeah.
I came home from dinner and I was like, oh yeah, we were talking about passports and getting passports, and then Rich is like staring at me. I'm like, yeah, and then Dawn was like, we could get Steph drunk after she gets her passport, and then we'll book plane tickets at the restaurant. And then I looked at Dawn and I was like, that would totally happen. So I'm never getting my passport.
No, shit, right.
That would actually happen. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with me is people can call me out for BS. The problem is like, no, you're not going to do that. The problem is I'm too fast. So I'm already doing it by the time they call me out. That's how I broke my heels.
Like, how do you feel when people call? Like, what's your initial reaction when people like challenge you or call bullshit on you? Do you get immediately defensive, or do you stay open-minded for a period of time?
If somebody calls BS on me, I am open to talking about, right? Like to like going through whatever. Like if it's something factual or whatever, yeah. I mean, if I just made it up, I made it up and I'm whatever. But if it's something that like they want to call BS and I know it's true, I'm not going to back down. Right? Like I'm going to dig in.
I feel like some people get like instantly defensive and mad. And then like,
I won't get defensive and mad.
Have a conversation.
No, I won't get defensive and mad. If it's wait, what's the difference between subjective and objective? Which one's the factual one? Yeah, whichever one's factual, I will dig in. If it's not factual and it's my opinion, I will have a conversation until I feel attacked. Then I close down.
So
once I feel attacked, I'm closing down because it's not worth it to me to continue this conversation if I'm not going to change your opinion or have you open to my side of things, right? Like I'm open to your side, you should be open to mine, right? Like, so that's my opinion. That's how it is. But if you don't want to have an open mind, and I could see that, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through the
I
debate.
feel like we kind of focused on a lot of the don'ts with brainstorming. So in the closing, like 5 minutes, what do you think
was the do's?
What do you think your top like 2 things or one thing that you took away from brainstorming, whether it's a business or a personal thing?
What did we learn? Is that what you're asking?
What?
Oh, I guess we can do that. Yeah. What did you
we learn? Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
I guess you could give one thing that you took away positive from brainstorming.
I'm not doing a negative. I'm going to only do a positive.
Do a what did you learn?
So
like a 2-part thing.
Positive is that. Oh, actually, let me start with the what I learned. What I learned is that if I want to get out of conversation with anybody out there, all I have to say is, my mom said no. My mom said no. And then I get to get out of the conversation.
Done.
Don't use it on Carrie.
No, Carrie is whatever. We established that pretty quick.
Yeah, we did.
What was the positives? The positives. The positives of this show. Ooh, you're right.
Smooth.
Yo,
Smooth.
that one hit hard.
That lemonade. Really got a little
That
pulp.
pink
Got a little
lemonade.
Got a little
Yeah,
pulp in
the
there.
lemon pulp. It
Yeah.
got caught on my jugular.
A little pulp.
The positive I got from this is that is just in general being open to conversation is always such a good benefit.
No, a positive that you took away from an individual brainstorming session that you had.
Oh, one of the positives I took away was when we were brainstorming back in the green room is all the fun stories. Every time we do these, every time I walk away learning something new about you or Kent or something. And so all the positives that I get out of a brainstorm are always the stories.
Yeah.
Right. Like I love hearing people's stories and people tell things. So they may give their idea, but they give the background to that idea. That's what I love. And that's what makes the idea stick with me is the stories behind the ideas and why they came up with that idea. Go ahead. So it's not specific idea, but it's close.
I guess, what did I learn? I guess one of the things I learned is that we really blurred the line between brainstorming and debating. And I feel like there's not as much separation in the context of this conversation that there maybe could have been.
The beginning
in
of
real
the
life.
show, but the beginning, this is a debate now. We're going to brainstorm about this. The beginning of the show, we really talked a lot about brainstorming.
Yeah.
It was just towards the end.
I'm just saying it just like kind of blurred into a whole thing of how it escalates. But I think one of the things that I've taken away personally and professionally, I guess, is in brainstorming sessions with different groups of people is not to be afraid. It's something that I got out of it is that listening to people that have been through it and survived, whether it's a business thing or a personal thing, it's doable and possible. And
no matter what.
So it's really helped me
totally love that.
Like not be afraid in certain circumstances.
I love that. That's
I
awesome.
think what I learned was that there's a huge difference between brainstorming and round tabling. I think I'm a very, very curious guy, and I want to pick people's brain. That's thus the brainstorming, because I find it fascinating the way people think of things differently, and that gives me new ideas. A round table, from what I've learned here today, has an agenda and like a leader, right? So it's like, and I really don't. I've always entered round tables thinking it'll be more of a brainstorm. So then I get very upset at round tables. I'm like, you're all fucking idiots, right? That's what I really learned today. And
I love that.
Yeah, and for me, brainstorming is impromptu. It can be with one person, it can be with 10, but it's more of that kind of spit and just hey, what do you think about this? How would you handle
asking questions?
Yeah,
interrupting
sometimes. And brainstorming is more me being quiet and listening to somebody or a couple people throw things out there and go, well, let me ask another question on that. To me, anyway. That's
I love that.
That's my takeaways.
Brainstorming to me is if you're not asking questions or able to speak up during somebody talking, then you're not brainstorming.
And
you're not conversing.
Right.
You're not exchanging the ideas.
Yeah. So as an employee, because I've got the ability to wear both hats at this point in my life, but as an employee, a brainstorm is the CEO walking into my office and going, you know what I mean? And it's just a quick little zing,
Yes.
zing, zing,
Mm.
where it's not a brainstorming when it's on my calendar and we're round tabling. There's an agenda there, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah. I mean, he may come in with an agenda, but it's, let's just
Mhm.
spit ideas.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
That's my take.
I
like
guess so next week
Love that.
we're going to be both out, so we're going to be doing a classic rerun, so be sure to tune in for that.
Yeah.
And then on the 7th, Joe will be back, but I will not, just for that episode.
Next week, we're just running Restoration 1 bloopers.
Those were good.
Those are
so
amazing.
good.
I know,
that's why I love them.
Those are some, although it's only like a minute and 45 seconds long,
just keep
so
it
it
on
would
a
be
loop.
like 12 loops. No, it would be a lot more than that. It'd be
Yeah.
like 30, like 35, 40 loops.
We'll keep it on a loop.
Yeah.
And then on the 7th, when Joe comes back, he will be talking about golfing and etiquette and the do's and don'ts, as from playing golf in a golf league, sponsoring holes, running a golf team.
We're getting into golf season, so it's time to talk. What do you do?
I'll share something with you before you go because it's awesome.
Ooh, we're gonna brainstorm in the green room.
No, it's just my golf shirt.
Oh, I'm excited about that. Okay, so yeah, all right, we'll talk about golf. That's actually the next time we talk live will be golf.
Yep.
So anybody have their ideas, shoot them over to me or into our website and whatever, and we'll talk golf
I
next
guess
time.
Enjoy your spring breaks.
'Tis the season. Peace.